I'll just turn.
Okay, so this is a conscious mind conversation between myself and a beautiful, fantastic practitioner who blows my mind, blows my heart wide open. And not only is she this incredible gift to humanity, but she also has another amazing aspect to her, which I view as kind of like a package deal, her mum. And they both are volunteers, first waiver and second waivers, here to just love the crap out of humanity in the very best of ways. Not only are you volunteers, but you also both trained with Dolores Cannon. And I just think that Dolores had attracted so many incredible light workers to her while she was alive. And I just know she guided you to us and these conversations. So I just feel so blessed to have you in my life, and so blessed to have you here with us, and for you to be a part of the series just meant so much to me. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy and your dog with us.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Jo. What an introduction. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I'm so appreciative of all the work that you have done and putting this series together. It's just so profound listening to what everybody has to say, what everybody's subconsciouses have to say. It's mind-blowing how similar everything is. It's a beautiful piece of work, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Thank you for doing it.
Mm. Oh, well, very welcome. I just felt so honored to be able to listen in and be a part of it, to be able to hear all the details of it. You know, can you confirm, did you get a copy of the questions before the session?
No, I did not. I had no idea what the questions were.
Did you have any suspicions?
Well, I had a feeling there was going to be questions on old Earth and new Earth, because I watched that video of yours that you were quite emotional about shifting so fast from the density of this 3D Earth to 5D and then back here. And I was walking my dogs and I was listening to that, and I had tears in my eyes, and I was looking up at the trees, and I was like, I think she's going to ask something along these lines.
Yeah, because you were the last one I think we did. I can't recall all of the orders of everything now, but I tried to not give it away, because I think it was like the day before or something. I can't remember, but we did that whole series in 6 days.
Wow. Amazing.
I had a day off in between somewhere.
Oh, well, that's always nice.
Absolutely. And so it was interesting, because I'd already had done that session with that practitioner who had that itchy dog, bless the dog, because it wanted its attention. It needed to be acknowledged in that session. And did you notice when you were listening to it, that when we were talking to the dog, it stopped itching because it was finally given the attention it needed? That fantastic practitioner is another gift to humanity beyond, you know, there is just so many special souls here. And I know that dog is profoundly loved, if not spoiled. And it's just so funny, because it just for that brief moment she was focusing on that session, that dog suddenly got, you know, super anxiety because of, you know, not being able to support her soul 100%, because you know, they can feel the big energy. And it reminds me, because I was watching your dog, and your dog instantly knew it needed to be with you, right beside you throughout that whole session.
Yeah, as soon as I laid down on the ground, he just snuggled right up beside me, and I put my arm on him, and he was there the whole time. He didn't make a peep. He was so quiet, and he just relaxed into it.
It was so beautiful. It's like, I just viewed it as like a mother nurturing the baby, you know, while she's having this profound connection to a higher dimensional being. It just was so beautiful. These sessions are just so beyond extraordinary.
They really are. They really are, on both ends too. Like, I guess there's 3 ends, because there's one end as a practitioner, there's one end as being a client, and then there's another end of listening to other people's sessions. And it's all just such an amazing experience.
And you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Like three different perspectives of it, because when you're the practitioner, you feel all this high frequency vibrations. You know, it's really significant to focus. You know, it's really significant to pay, the uttermost attention to all of the details, to be able to guide your clients without, stepping over or directing them or triggering them to start thinking analytically. I think that's the right term, right? Like it's quite a mission. It's quite a mission. You're really working for it, being a practitioner. And then when you're a client, I mean, tell me your feelings and thoughts process about your session with that series.
So with my experience, like during the actual session, is that what you're asking? Okay, so I was super relaxed. This is the second session I've had with you, and I felt much more connected the second time. I don't really get visuals. I guess the visuals that I do get are like an old black and white TV from the 40s. I don't even know if there was TV in the 40s, but like, it's just like not even barely there. So I don't really get visuals. It's just more senses of things happening, things occurring. And with this last session, with the one we just did, I found it so easy to just relax into it and just let my subconscious speak through me. And yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah. So we used your key code, and so many people are like, you can't get me under with a key code. It took me hours to get under me the first time. And bless that perspective, because it's a really profound tool to use. Thank you, Dolores Cannon, for that. More gifts to be able to help. And so remind me, how many other sessions did you have prior to me?
Just two.
And
two, like a long time ago, after I took the course with Dolores.
Yeah. And so what the energy, 10 years later is quite different, isn't it?
Very, yes, very. Yeah. These two sessions with you were much more profound than the previous two I had. Like different times, totally different energies on the planet. And I'm also a different person than I was 10 years ago. And I think that you were just so much more connected than the other people that I had sessions with 10 years ago. So it's just all the stars aligned, and it was just, the sessions have been so great, the two.
Oh, well, I'm sure if you found me 10 years ago, I would have been a hot mess, and those sessions would have been utter shit. So, it's really, we can all have profound advanced growth anytime we choose. At this point, it's so profound. It's almost impossible not to grow at the moment. It feels like everything is great opportunities for growth.
Oh yeah. Like if we're not growing at this point, we're just going to get left behind, because everything is just moving so fast right now. Like we just have to keep up.
Well, I feel like if we're not growing, it's looking like a huge amount of ascension symptoms is what I sort of am gathering. And I mean, we can scoff and be like, oh, those poor people with all of those, hundreds of other lifetimes they have to purge through. But I would imagine that's quite a big deal. A big deal. So what it seems like people are getting really concerned of, I never get any ascension symptoms. What does that mean? What does that mean? And I say, well, there's lots of things that means. You either have already done all of, a lot of your inner work and healed. You don't have so much trauma and inner work from other lifetimes that you having to try and fumble to find, because, we can barely remember our childhood versus, other lifetimes. And when you're trying to do some serious purging, which is what most people on this planet are doing, is serious purging of density and traumas from other lifetimes. It's intensive. So, so you were so kind to let me have a date with your subconscious and have a blind session. And I think because there was only a few private questions that we did at the end, which weren't public. But by that time you were completely relaxed the entire time. You were just, you were there to just surrender into that spa treatment, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
When it's blind questions, it's easier to just slip into even more deeper relaxation, because it's not about subconscious, is my client's husband having an affair with her? Like, you know, like those questions that would suddenly get our conscious minds very interested in hearing more about that, for example. So it was great. So when I was asking your subconscious those questions, what were the senses and feelings that you got throughout that session?
So I've listened to my session twice now, and the first few questions, like the energy I felt was like so high vibrational, so much love, and I was just so relaxed into the session. And then when you started asking about the difference between a 3D body and a 4D body, and whether or not 5D Earth was here, and I could sense frustration from my subconscious. I could sense irritation, frustration, like it wasn't that high vibrational loving energy. And as soon as you got back to my personal questions, I could feel that loving energy again. So there was something about those questions that was triggering him, maybe.
And so do you recall what collective your subconscious is with?
Reptilian.
And I feel like a lot of people have these assumptions that they're always love and light, and you do you, we'll just guide you forever, and, you know, don't grow, just do whatever you want to do, kind of thing. But at this point in time, our Turian friends are so focused and so ready to go. And really, the biggest thing people block and resist when hearing about the shift to the new earth, they are quite comfortable jumping to the new earth in a heartbeat. They think that's quite great. Oh, superpowers. Oh, I can fly. I can do this. I'm energy, blah, 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 blah. Fantastic. But until they figure out, wait, you mean I've got to leave these physical bodies? No, I'm out. That's mostly the deal breaker for most people. Oh, I don't want to leave these bodies. Are you kidding me? No. And this is why many people consciously think, or even subconsciously try to understand, they try to interpret the information as this: no, you take your bodies as you are, as you is, and then you go and live your best 3D physical body lives in the 5D until you get sick of it, and then you want to evolve, and it's all up to you, and, you know, nothing's forced on you, you create your own reality, blah, 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 blah. And the reality that we keep hearing in sessions is, when you shift, you're shifting your soul out of your physical body, but that may scare you so much. You may put the illusion of still having this 3D body in a crystalline formation just to feel comfortable within yourself, be comfortable around others, to then be used to this evolution. It's kind of like a butterfly pretending to still look like a caterpillar.
Yeah. I got the sense too, it's like they don't even know like what lies ahead of them. It's going to be so amazing. We don't I guess they do understand why we're so attached to our 3D bodies, but like from the bigger perspective, it's like, why are they so attached to their 3D bodies? Like the next body is going to be way better. It's going to be so much funner.
So much freer. And so the biggest sort of consistent statement to describe the shift was, you're going to lose a lot of density. And what is that density really? That density is literally your physical body, which has remembered every bump, every accident, every emotional trauma. Because when we have big emotional traumas, we hold it energetically in our bodies. It's like a dumping ground for emotional baggage. We suck it up in our gut. We hold on to it in our fists and hands and create tension. We have so much heartache. We twist our like hearts, pressures and valves, and restrict our breathing because of the emotional trauma we're going through. because we choose to feel those emotions, because we're responding to situations that aren't in the best love and light situations, just living real day to day. And so when we have not done any of our inner work, or we're still on our journey to release all our inner work, our bodies are still a reflection of everything we've ever experienced because of all that trauma. But when we're not able or willing or interested or can cope with healing all of those accidents, all of those events, and seeing it from the biggest perspective, yeah, no shit, our bodies are super dense.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. 100% on that.
It's slightly more than just burning a bit of sage.
Maybe a tad bit more than a bit of sage.
The amount of sage one would have to burn in equivalence to like one life, let alone imagine 100 lives of trauma from it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So this is why the volunteers are here, to help all those people who have had all these fun lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes, and trying to motivate these people to release everything that no longer serves them, is quite the mission in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So a lot of people don't, when you can't correlate how dense and how sort of, we're basically these Ferrari soul essences, shall we say, and these like banged up, shitty old rusty out cars, and our other Ferrari soul essence friends are saying, you should really like look into that and release that stuff. And we're like, the fender bender is fine. Don't judge my love handles and my shitty exterior interior. It's fashionable to be old school, blah 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 blah. And they just can't understand why we would still want to be so desperately attached to something that truly doesn't serve us anymore.
Yeah. When you see it from that perspective, it's actually quite bizarre that we're so attached to these bodies.
Well, because they're so dense. Because our physical bodies are so dense that we are clinging to them, because we're seductively addicted to that density, and that density feels like us. It feels like, this is who I am, right? And everyone tells us, accept who you are, love your bodies that you're in, and all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to love ourselves. So we're identifying with that density as being part of ourselves, which confuses us, because ultimately we are these soul essences that should be freer. But while we're here, we are who we are, and we are what we are. And we're definitely a product of everything, with all our choices that we've explored.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It really does.
So how did you feel when you got to see or sense the new earth?
I was brought to the meadow, the infamous meadow that everybody goes to. And it was like the black and white 1940s TV kind of scene. But when I looked up at the sky, I could see the sky looked almost like it was crystal. It was really pretty. And my mind imagined colors up there. I don't know if that's really the case or not, but that's what my mind added to it. And I could see trees in the distance, but I just remember my physical sensation of when you put me on New Earth. I could feel tingles all over my body, almost like sparkles are raining down on my body. It just felt really good.
Shine bright like a diamond or a crystalline body.
Yes.
Fantastic. And then when we were talking about the old earth experience, what was there a contrast there for you, or how did that feel for you?
I definitely didn't feel the tingly, happy sensations at all. It felt more like regular life, like for the 5D, I was brought up, but then for the 3D, I was just brought back to normal here. And it was just like my normal, regular, heavy body. So yeah, that's what I felt. But the thing that sticks out more in my mind with the old earth questions was the frustration from my subconscious.
Yeah, I feel like they're very frustrated because it's been delayed so much and they've got other things to do. And they are also in life contracts to guide and support us. And so, there's still so much that they are obligated to sort of do. And, we are impacting them with our free will, mucking around and focusing on 3D dramas.
Yeah.
So, was it public that we asked about the laser event? Did that get public or was that private?
No, that was private.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was private, but you can talk about it if you want.
That's where I wanted to cry because I asked, would you hear the event of the laser? And I got just this bolt of sickening. I can almost feel it again. Just this, you hearing the sound of that event and it's shock, disbelief, but completely understanding and comprehending everything. And then the emotional response of, this is so traumatizing for everyone who's hearing this at the same time.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to know about it. Like, I just feel so bad for everybody else that has no clue that this is coming, and it is going to be so intense for people. It's going to be a shock.
Because our first session that we had together, we didn't ask about it, did we?
It came up.
Oh, did it?
It came up, yeah. In the questions at the end, yeah.
God, I can't remember, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, so you just get hit with the sound wave that is sickening to hear, because it's like, okay, and now this is where chaos will follow everyone now, because it's not even like your physical chaos in your life. Physically, it's just this mental chaos of everyone jumping online, reaching out to each other in utter fright, shock, dismay, confusion, like all of the hecticness of what you could imagine this big event is going to be so worldwide. It was quite upsetting to feel that, because it's just, I think we've got this luxury right now, even though we hear it all the time in sessions and in our own personal sessions as well, that we have this kind of this comfortable deniability, like, well, it's all said in game, it's all fun and games said in sessions, really, but it hasn't happened to us. And we just have this, well, I know for me, I would love to just be in this state of denial. It's comfortable, like I can't do anything about it. I could try to tell the whole world doesn't want to hear it. I could try and prepare the whole world doesn't want to be prepared for it. So there's nothing I can actually do about it. And if I keep panicking and worrying and fretting and stressing, that's just going to deplete me. And we have to find some sort of neutral balance to know that this is a possibility that we keep hearing about. And was it your session when I said, is it, what kind of certainty is it? And they were like, oh, it's a beyond certainty. It's basically, they were very firm in saying it's not just a possibility or probability. It's an absolute essential experience that must occur. And I was like, oh, they were very, very, very firm about it.
Yeah.
Which is, unpleasant. But we've got to be mature about it and embrace ourselves for it.
Yeah. And they do know what's best for us. Like, even though this laser event's going to happen, they do have the higher perspective. They can see everything, and they do know what our souls want and desire for growth. And this must be what our souls want and desire for growth. I really believe it's going to bring a lot of unity in people. And we're going to drop our armor and we're just going to come together.
It was in your session when they said it's going to be a great awakening for many people.
I can't remember. I don't remember that. And that last part you said wasn't my session. It was somebody else's session, like the certainty part. That wasn't my session.
Okay.
But, yeah, well, I agree. It will be a great awakening.
The emotions that I feel in these sessions are undeniable, regardless of whether I'm a practitioner or a client. And the emotions that I felt when I asked your subconscious about, will you hear the laser event? And I already felt like I was in your body hearing it with you. And it was hideous. Yeah. And that's, given the fact that I don't fantasize about thinking about the laser event and what it's going to be like, blah, 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 I can't even go there emotionally, because when you feel that density, that shock, and that it's too much, it's too fucking heavy and hideous. And I don't want to spend any of my time thinking about it. But in a session when I'm wanting to understand, for the client who's wanting to understand how this event's going to unfold and impact them, I honor all questions that the clients want the subconscious to be asked. And it's just so undeniable that profound experience that will bring everyone to tears.
Oh, yes. Yes, it will.
Your subconscious was so kind. It said that it was so fantastic what it said about everyone's going to panic thinking that they're not going to be safe. And then I said, well, we are really going to be safe though, aren't we, in some regards, because we're having to go through the experiences of the laser event.
I think what was said was my subconscious said something about everybody being safe after the laser, and you said yes, even the people that exit during the laser. And my subconscious was like, they'll be the safest.
Yeah. I think people in general were so traumatized with so many exit points that they will feel very vulnerable, because they feel they'll be in deep grief and mourning for those who have exited. And yet, ironically, those who are still here, those are the ones that are, going to be struggling and suffering the most, versus those who have exited, who are, living their best, shifting lives, where they're preparing themselves to either go home, go to their home planets, go back to source, or go to New Earth.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, they're living it. They're doing, I was going to say that they're living it up, but without the carbon-based body, without that density. And there are so many people shifting now to prepare for when people do shift, that they are going to be greeted even on the ships.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's they don't want it to be any more traumatizing than we already have had in our lives. But say for us volunteers, we think this is a bit extreme, don't you think? Subconscious, a laser event, like that's a bit, who thought of that idea? Isn't that kind of a movie inspiration, something? But I guess our souls intellectually can't really fathom how profound a big event like that is necessary to awaken everyone else who's refusing to wake up at this point. And they have to have such trauma to start caring for each other. That's what came out of you. What was said in your session?
I can't remember. My guy said that like the old earth experience is going to be so intense, and they're going to come together. Community is what's going to happen, and it'll be like once they get through that, they can get through anything. They're going to be so proud of themselves.
It is truly amazing. Like, while we can't even pretend to be victims. When you're on the old earth, you're there to either your light workers who are there to really help support and guide people to be balanced, not freak out, share thoughts, share feelings. And because it's so ridiculously extreme, the event, you all can actually be free to be truthful about, I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm worried. Normally we could feel all of that stuff, but pretend that we're just love and light and whatever. But because it's so full on, we are allowed to share our full-on thoughts and feelings, and that density will be squeezing and wringing us out as sponges profoundly. You're going to be so in touch with your feelings and emotions, and because you've all experienced the same thing, you all can fully relate and support each other through it. Because right now people can't relate to politics, and you've got to really look to find like-minded people, and it is quite the journey to find like-minded people. But when you have trauma that is shared trauma, you become survivors together, and you have this commonality that's so profound. That I remember doing a session for Mastering the Old Earth, the book, and it was basically like, once they find people who are still there, you become instant family. You need to rely on each other, you trust each other, you support each other, and because you start sharing more of your own personal experiences, you're like an instant family. And this is why it's so important when we are on that. I mean, I guess I can't remember if I was feeling into one part of America or where that was. I don't feel like it was my home. But when I was channeling that session, I can't remember who the practitioner was, but I could really feel like I was viewing into some community maybe in America, where it was like, if you find people, you become besties and you rely on each other, and you it's so profound. And I have had to grow a lot with my own understanding of what the old earth is. And why? Because originally when I was starting to hear about it, it kind of felt like it was a punishment for the naughty kids, and it really isn't.
That's what I first thought initially too. That's how I found your sessions. What I saw a video on YouTube pop up on one of the Dolores Cannon Facebook pages, and it was something about old earth, and I was like, old earth, I've never heard about old earth before. I've heard lots about new earth, but I never heard about old earth. And so I listened to it, and I just gravitated towards the information. I just couldn't get enough of your sessions. It just resonated with me so much.
Well, I didn't really know much about the old earth really myself. The book Three Wave of Volunteers and the New Earth does discuss the old earth, but then now that I've looked at some of her books as well, there's quite a lot of information about it, especially Nostradamus. But when we were getting information, 2020, the year 2020, we were being told that most of humanity would just shift, would all just kind of like just either exit or through it was going to be this one big epic day, and it was going to be just really, really profound. And then most of humanity would leave that day, and then who were left over, you would be on the old earth, and that's when you sort of got to survive a little bit more. And then you'd sort of exit that point, and there was possibilities potentially after some healing and source you could go to the new earth. Now lots kind of changed in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm sure they couldn't have predicted how humanity was going to react and act to different things that have occurred.
I think they were expecting a lot of other influencers who had been put into really good positions to get huge followers. I thought that they knew that certain big influencers had life contracts to then share the truth, and many influencers who do know and who did get access to the bigger truth refused to share it for whatever personal reasons and freedom of free will, blah blah blah, that they and so it really impacted. Lots of people didn't publish books, didn't share the truth, dismissed the information right from the get-go. It was just like one by one, all these people that were supposed to step up all step down. And it was really confusing for them, because they're like, you've had lifetimes to train to be this great influencer to be able to guide people to the bigger truth. And then it seems like the information that was shared, people heard about it and then they used their free will to block it and to beg for more time. So there was that massive group meditation where all, like a million or so people came together to do a meditation to heal the planet. And it was like the biggest kind of clue that for the collectives, oh wait, look, hang on, they're starting to care about things beyond themselves. They're wanting to come together as a team, as a group, and all set the intentions for healing. And that really surprised them, because previously no one had kind of got together to be able to do it in that level before. And so, of course, there was that big movement and that big meditation, and lots of different independent influences twisted all of that agenda for their own self-serving whatever. It did dilute it, but it got their attention to give the greater humanity a potential good, in terms of, okay, well, maybe they do want to do this naturally and organically. And Gaia was saying she will be happy to hold on to give humanity this extra bonus time to be able to raise their frequency vibrations naturally, with, of course, huge assistance from all the collectives. But it felt like they really wanted to be here to make a difference and to kind of have it on their own terms. And they many had this opportunity to hear about the shift and handbraked it or blocked it or denied it, and used their free will to use their platforms to dispel it.
It's so heartbreaking that human ego gets in the way so many times of so many good things.
Yeah. All free will and all, but it's God, I would be so mortified, embarrassing if we're all on the new earth and reflecting oh, this is an amazing place, how come we didn't come here earlier?
Everybody looks to the one corner of the room. It is your fault. I'm just kidding.
Not naming names, but I could certainly oh my gosh. Yeah. And just that alone is why lots of big beings don't want to go to the new earth, because they don't want to be responsible for it. They don't want to, be held accountable. And so a lot of these big influences, we've asked, what are they going to do? And they say, the subconscious says about them, they're so embarrassed that the shift happens, and they realize that they have been leading people astray. They don't want to go to the new earth to be, held accountable for that, because energetically you will feel people's disappointment. You told me so-and-so, here we are. And, and you would have to go through it with everyone, because you're going to be interacting with each other. You would know each other. And if you have told lies or limited or whatever, everyone would know. And lots of influencers will not be going to New Earth for that very reason.
Yeah, especially when you have such a big reach and so many followers, and you're holding humanity back.
But then also a lot of those big influencers are also reptilian starseeds, and they still can't get to the new earth. So that's they were trying to hold back certain things. They've had lots of healing, but it's always so surprising when we ask about an influencer. I feel like I get to hear about a new influencer every day, and get to hear what they're doing. And every collective is special. Every collective is significant and special and needs love and deserves love. And in saying that, unfortunately, the new earth is not designed for the reptilian species. And that's not, they shouldn't have fear of missing out, that because they can have their own experiences and places to go and all that sort of stuff. And there's so much to be said about that.
Yeah, a place that's just for them, just so perfect for them. Because,
and when everyone chooses to step up and raise their frequency vibrations, it's everyone's welcome, but you have to meet this level of frequency. And you cannot just get a golden ticket because you think you're a Palladian or a Turian, you actually have to match that frequency to enter in. And that's the same for the reptilians. But the reptilians frequency and the new Earth 5D frequency is very different, very different. And so it's an extra challenge. It's not impossible, but it's very challenging.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just fascinating. Anyway,
It is.
well, thank you very much for sharing your experiences. Is there anything else you would like to share in terms of your experience as a session or as a practitioner or meeting Dolores? Is there anything that you would love to share with us?
Well, I just want to share that Dolores was all that she is. Like, she was just such a wonderful woman. I took a 3-day course with her, and I could tell that she was on a different level. Like, she was just such a powerhouse, beautiful person. And I'm just so grateful that you are continuing on with her work. It's pretty amazing. You're doing really good things, Jo.
Well, I mean, thank you to amazing Dolores, because she really set the path, and it would have been so hard to try to be such a powerhouse back then, when there was, so much hesitance and resistance. I mean, she was even beyond her time.
Yeah, she was light years ahead of her time. Yeah,
it's amazing when people tell me, oh yeah, I've known about Dolores for 20 years and I've read her books, and then you start talking to them about certain things and they just are not aware of, that weren't ready to. And I think that it feels heavy for Dolores in some regards, because she says she was so ahead of her time that the people that were on her journey with her all have this assumption that they know everything that they should know now about the coming new Earth and the old Earth, for example. And they really need to review and re-listen and reread her books, because now with the frequency energy, it's going to be it's the same book that you've had on your bookshelf for 20 years, but the information that you can absorb now is on point.
Oh yeah, like I read the 3 Waves of Volunteers so long ago after I took the course with Dolores, but I do not remember reading anything about old Earth at all. Like, my mind just must have blocked that part right out, because that's when I found about old Earth with your session that I saw posted. And I think it was April 10th of 2020 or 2021. Anyhow, and then I recently read 3 Waves of Volunteers again. And I was like, oh my gosh, she does talk about old Earth in this book. Like, how did I not clue into that it was actually a thing? So I think it's actually a thing where our minds block out information that we're not ready for.
Absolutely. It truly does, and it's it's purposeful. And when I know lots of people that listen to these sessions even now, and when you're talking to them, they're like, what do you mean a laser event?
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like it's all about the laser event, the last sort of year. It's how have you not found a session that's talked about the laser event? But even when I listen back to the sessions, because sometimes, I feel drawn to do a channeling, and, I'll post it and then think, what on earth did I say for the hour? Like, I should listen back to it in case it's like something personal. And then I kind of think, God, imagine if they were like, telling on me about, she had those cheesy snacks again, and she knows she should, I mean, who knows what that, and I listen back to the session, but I feel like it's so much. You literally would have to sit there in an empty room and focus and almost take notes of everything that's sort of said and summarize it to get the full information and all the aspects and perspectives of what they're trying to say. Because if you are, as I know, I've got it on in the background, I feel like I'm tuning in and out of some of the information, and it's like, it's bizarre. It's like, you really have to focus on this. I mean, I love that you're walking your dogs and, being in nature listening, but I just feel like it's so much content. It's like beyond. And those people that listen religiously to the sessions and understand it and listen back and really have got that extra level of, I mean, they are very, very advanced, and it is very impressive, the information. And I could also tell with myself, with my session, that my subconscious was there for a little bit, but it was mostly these other beings that were coming in that seemed sort of a lot more higher perspective than, say, my Mr. Subconscious guy.
Yeah, I remember your team said that there were some actual beings from Source talking through you.
There was this, I had this other private session where we wanted to talk to Source, and it was just this representation of parts of Source aspect. And it was kind of like 3 of them, I think. And then they said this thing when they were saying farewell. And I just was like, oh my gosh, it's been them all along. Because it was, I think they said, and we say this with so much love, that is when you hear channeling through me, and at the end they say, and we say this with so much love, that is the 3 fragments of Source that have come in. And it was, I just remember having this massive epiphany, because I was like, whoa, that is quite intensive, because I don't really care what their names are, or where they are. It's like I trust that my subconscious is sorting out this information. For a long time I just thought it was my subconscious, but I realized now it's he just is kind of, he hooks up the meetings and then brings in these other beings who know that they need and want to share their perspective and information. So it's a huge team effort. It's, even though you just hear one voice, there is so much going on more than just that one voice.
Yeah. It reminds me of a picture I saw where one person was standing there, and then there was all these hands on shoulders behind the person. There must have been like 100 people behind them, and they all had their hands on their shoulders, and it was reaching out to this one person.
It's tremendous. And I guess I always sort of wonder how confusing it is for people who like just stumble across these sessions and then just hear this one voice. Must just be like, they must be thinking, what on earth is going on here?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people just assumed for a long time it was just someone's ego speaking. I mean, bless them. I mean, I don't know if any one person's that wise.
Oh, yeah, probably not.
I mean, it's easy to channel all that information and do all these sessions. It's another thing to actually apply.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Absolutely. Yeah. Fun times in 3D.
Oh yeah. Good times down here.
It's not dense at all. Yeah. And it was nice though, because your subconscious was like, you're allowed to feel impatient. Those moments that you feel impatient, like it's okay. It's, sometimes I feel impatient. Sometimes I'm not impatient at all, and I'm all good and sweet, and want to savor every moment, and I feel like I don't want anything to move on.
Oh, I go through waves of that too. It's like when something challenging in life comes up, it's like, oh, well, the shift just happened already.
Yeah.
And then when like things are flowing really good, it's like, okay, yeah, this is good. I could really enjoy this for a little longer.
I just was introduced to this new series, and I was like, oh, cool, I can binge watch this new series. And then I realized it's a weekly thing, and I was like, wait, okay, so I would have to just be patient and accept how many weeks ahead to watch this. Do I want to get emotionally attached? Could we shift beforehand? Like I factor in so many things to it, right? And I remember like there was some series that we were following, and it was going to be like released in January like 2021, and I was like, ugh, dead to me. I'm never going to watch it. It's so unfair. I'm never going to see the final, or the final season. And it's funny how we kind of like all keen to go and shift, and I'd love to go to the new earth, but wait a minute, there's another series of Domestic Housewives. Like,
I need to find out what happens.
yeah, all distractions. I'm very well aware it's all distractions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. It's definitely funny. And I just am so impressed that so many people are going out, having their own sessions and experiencing this for themselves to realize what we're talking about for all these years in these sessions isn't scripted bullshit.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Getting the information from your own higher power, your subconscious, your higher self, that is really the only place to get information about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting it from anybody else, it's working through their ego.
Well, Dolores, I mean, what did she sort of preach? Do you recall when she was teaching you to be the practitioner, to not just trust her, but to have sessions for yourself and explore yourself and do your own research?
She did. Yeah. I don't remember so much about that. Yeah, I don't remember her talking so much about that. I do know that she urged us at the end of the course to get our own sessions so we would know what it feels like. And yeah, that's sorry, what?
And back then it was a weekend course, was it?
I think it was a 3-day course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And this was 2011.
When was it? Yeah, it would have been 2011.
Yeah. So, because I remember when we first met and you were telling me, or no, it was your mum, and she said that it was 2011, and I was like, whoa, was she talking about the shift? Because the shift, the big shift date that she got was 2012. And I can't remember whether it was you or her that said, oh, she didn't speak at all about the shift, because she knew it wasn't going to be 2012, even though they had really hoped and had prepped and really did so much work to get it shifting. Look at this, it's like 10 years down the track and they're still saying it soon.
Yeah, that's true. What I remember was she really focused on healing people. Like that was the main focus of the sessions, was to really heal the people, heal the clients. Yeah.
Because again, we were just speaking about that. When you heal the body, when you heal your mind and heal the body, you instantly, as a reward, raise your vibrations, because you don't have that density. So I can totally respect where she's coming from with that.
Yeah.
That you heal the body, you lighten that body, you release that trauma and density, you unpack it. These sessions are so profound. So my client today, she's always had these insane headaches. And why? Because she fell and hit her head on a rock when she was 12 in another lifetime, and died, and she drowned because she fell into like a stream and drowned. And that headache from that impact has carried on this lifetime. And
wow,
so it's incredible what we get to heal and release in just one session. And it's so, like, I know lots of people don't want to do these sessions because it's expensive, and I know that the internship is fantastic to get free sessions, and I think have a few sessions with interns, and then really invest in this. I think the most expensive practitioner is like $650 US, and in all honesty, it's probably that's a bargain price. When you have so much trauma that you can release in one single session and learn so much about yourself in one single session and get all of the answers that you're seeking in one single session, what price, what value would we put that on? Seriously, what it's so beyond profound. It's priceless. The wisdom,
so
the healing.
valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. And we know that we can't take our money or our debt to New Earth. So, not trying to get people into debt, but if you're struggling with interns, maybe a paid practitioner is your jam. But again, we all know that even, advanced top level practitioners may not have your best interests at heart.
It's true. Yeah.
So not triggered by that, by the way. Okay, so is this where we leave it off? And yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. It was really nice chatting with you.
Well, thank you so much.
I really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, I think this I don't have to do it with everyone that did that series, because I think that the series really is a profound, it speaks for itself. But when you get to hear the actual vehicle speaking with its beautiful consciousness and ego, we get to really value those sessions so much more, I think, because we get to just understand them, the difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious.
Yeah. Yeah, big difference in my case anyhow.
Yeah, me too. I am not, I'm definitely not a special unicorn when it comes to that either. Okay, I'll talk to you. Hang on. Bye everyone listening.